So this here is a midterm review video. I'm going to walk through a practice midterm exam. And so let's just go right to it. First question. It says 50 liters versus 13 gallons. 15 liters, 13 gallons. So this is just a simple conversion. So liters and gallons, they do have a relationship. You can get the conversion through the internet, textbook, so many different places. So let's take a look at the most common one. We'll just Google the conversion and see what it says. So we have 1 gallon is approximately 3.79 liters. Okay. Now we're looking at 50 liters and 13 gallons. So we'll do 13 gallons, and that's about 49.2 liters. So 50 liters, 13 gallons, 50 is greater. So right here it says consumer reports give this following data and want to find the mode and median. So with this we'll use Excel. And so we input these numbers here, and we'll use equals. And let's see here, we've got the mode, parenthesis, and we will do mode of 138, and now we'll do the median. And we'll do the median here. And we have the median of 53. All right, so we have this report, this consumer reports 17 brands of hot dogs. Input these numbers into Excel. Mode, median. Which one is larger? Here, mode 138, median 153. Okay, so the median is greater. Now we have 260 people randomly selected. They were to pick their favorite kind of music. Use the above to estimate the probability of, here's a keyword, not alternative / indie rock. So 48 is alternative indie rock. So we want to know what's not. So we can do one of two things. We can add all the other numbers up, or we can do 1 minus the probability of this. And let's see, I want to show you that both will end up being the same amount. So let's try it. So let's add those numbers up first. 73 plus 31 plus 28 plus 80 is 212 divided by the total of 260. All right, so approximately 0.815. Or we could have done 1 minus, and now it's 48 divided by the 260. Order of operations will say to do the division first. Same thing. So either way we would have done it, could have got it the same way. So we saw the word not, and that indicated that everything that is not the alternative indie rock. So that was all the other ones. Okay, so we could have done 1 minus that, or add the other ones up and divide that by the total. Either one. All right, question 4. So this one here, we're looking at median and mode again. So we have a set of data looking at median mode. One of the easiest tools to use is Excel. So let's go back to Excel. Okay, so we're doing the median and the mode again. So equals median, parenthesis, and there's your median, and mode. Oops, equal to mode. And here we got the mode. All right, so which one is larger? The median was first that we did here, and the mode. So the median is larger. So we have a recently purchased bag of M&Ms. All right, so of the 55 M&Ms, we have 17 brown. We have this arrangement here. What is the probability that an M&M drawn randomly out of the bag is not green? Key is not green. So not green. So that's all of the other ones. So let's add them all up to make sure here. All right, so we have 17 plus 18 plus 7 plus 7 plus 2 plus 4. There's your 55, okay. So now we're going to do everything but green. 17 plus 18 plus 7. Skip the 7 for the green, plus 2 plus 4. All right, so that's 48. So 48 out of the total of 55. So 48 divided by 55. And we get 0.872. So 0.872, 0.873, because it does have a 7 there, that would round up that 2 to a 3. All right, next. All right, so this below here has average temperatures from 1981 to 2010. So the average is based on years, okay? So we want to find the mean or 62 degrees. So we can actually take this here and we can actually copy and paste that right into Excel. Alright, so everything is in. And now we're looking at the mean versus 62. So let's go equals average, parenthesis. Okay, there we go. That's the mean. So we have mean of 65.1 and we have 62. So the mean is greater. So now we have 4 feet 8 inches versus 56 inches. Okay, so we know that there are 12 inches per foot. So let's take a look at 4 times 12 is 48 inches and then another 8. So plus 8. So those are both 56 inches. So these are actually the same. All right, so we have some research going on here. 1,000 residents in a county. Okay. Here we go. Only 254 responded. So that's actually going to be our total. Only 254 responded. The results are summarized below. Number of people, social media, television, radio, newspaper. What's probably that a randomly selected person from that country would get a primary news source, anywhere but social media. Anywhere but social media. So we're looking at these three, not including the 22. Or again, we could have done 1 minus the social media. Okay, so let's do both just to show that they will come the same way. 110 plus 64 plus 58 divided by the 254. So approximately 0.934. And now let's do it the other way. If we went 1 minus the 22 divided by 254, same result. Well, it looks like we have mean again. All right, so you can do this in a calculator or you can put it in the Excel, either one. I'm going to use Excel again. So we're going to do the mean versus 158. All right, so let's get the mean. Okay, so 158.64. Oh, that's really close. Versus 158. So 158.64 is definitely, it's larger. All right, here we go. Oh, we got mean versus median. Mean versus median. All right, let's see. Is that the same set of data? It might be. I'm just double checking here, going through and making sure it's the same set. Okay, so yep, it is the same. So this time it's doing the median versus the mean. So we already have the mean. Let's get the median. Okay, so which one is larger, the mean or the median? So we are looking at the mean is larger. So the mean is larger, or average. All right, now it says the least common multiple of 9 and 6, the greatest common factor of 9 and 6. Oh, that's a great play on words. So a great play on words here. So let's make sure we know what each of those means. So least common multiple, 9 and 6. So we have, it's usually easiest to start with a smaller number and then to go to the larger numbers, but let's list these out here. So let's make this a little bigger, a little quicker to write, so you guys can see it. Okay, here we go. All right, so we start with 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Times 3 is 18, times 4 is 24, and then 30, and then 36, and then 42, and then 40, let's see here, 48, and so on. All right, so let's make sure. It's pretty easy to make a mistake, but let's just double check. 6, 12, plus 6 is 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. Yep, all right. And now let's take a look at the 9s. So we have 9, 18, 27, and then 36. So if you take a look here, least common multiple is right here. Least common multiple is 18. All right, and now greatest common factor though. Now that's very different. So multiples are when we're actually physically multiplying them and moving up. Times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, and so on. So that's the least common multiple is for both of them is 18. Least common multiple is also kind of like least common denominator. Very similar. Greatest common factor though, that's a little different. So the 9 has 1 times 9, and then it also has 3 times 3. And the 6, well, the 6 has 1 times 6, and then it has 2 times 3. So the number that they have in common, is actually going to be, the greatest one is going to be the 3. So if you look at the factors, the greatest factor that they have in common is 3. So there you go. So least common multiple, greatest common factor is going to be the multiple. It's going to be greater. So this one here we have 39 is what percent of 60, 29 is what percent of 50. All right, so this one is actually not too bad because we can actually just simply use division. So 39 is what percent of 60. So it's asking what part of 39 is of 60. Versus 29 is what percent of 50. So what percent of 50? All right, so let's take out these calculators. So 39 divided by 60 is 0.65. And then we have 29 divided by 50 is 0.58. All right, so it's obvious which one is the greater one. It's the 39 over the 60. All right, next. We have this expression here. Oh, so we have an expression. This is a good one. So we have h plus, and it says 32 over g. All right, when the value of g is 4 and h is 8, and then they switched them. All right, so let's take a look. So if h is 8 in this one, so we have 8 plus 32 over the g of 8 is 8. And then the second one is going to be 4 is the h this time. That's versus 4 plus, let's see here, the g is 8, so 32 over 8. Oh, I just made a goof. Let me go back here. I made one mistake, I just got to correct here. All right, here we go. Let's go over here. Yep, one minor mistake. So we have g is 4, so that's 4. So again, g is 4, h is 8, and then over here we have g is 8 and the h is 4. So basically they flip places. First one, that's going to be 8 plus 32 divided by 4 is 8. So that's going to end up being 16. Now this one is going to be 4 plus 32 divided by 8 is 4. And so that ends up to only be 8. So this first one here ends up to be greater. So the first one ends up to be greater, where the g was 4 and the h was 8. So the first one. All right, so very similar here. It says which one is going to be greater? Well, let's work through these and see. All right, so first one we have u divided by 5 plus 12 equals 19. All right, so we have to use reverse operations to solve this. We take this positive 12 and we subtract it And we have u over 5. That's a bad 5. U over 5 equals 19 minus 12 is going to be 7. And now over here on this side, we have division. And to get rid of division, we multiply both sides by the 5. And so that means u here equals 35. And we can always check it. I mean, 35 divided by 5 is 7, 7 and 12 gives you 19. Okay. Now the other one, very, very similar, very similar. All right, so we have u is 35. And then we're just going to blank that out real quick so we can do some more work. Okay. Next one, we have v over 4 plus 11 equals 19. Okay, first thing is, again, we're going to subtract that 11 from each side, very similar to before. And then we have v over 4 equals 19 minus 11 is 8. All right, over here we have to multiply both sides by 4. The reason why, we have division. To get rid of division, multiply each side. And v ends up to be 32. Okay, so which means the u ends up to be larger. It's 35, so the u is larger. The fraction of the marbles are white. Whoops. The fraction of the marbles that are white, okay, so white, and the fraction of the pie that's white. All right, let's take a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be 2 over 7 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, my eyes are a little going crazy there. Let's just make sure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. All right, and that's going to be 3 white spaces over the total of 9. All right, so it's not exactly easy to compare these just by looking at them. We can divide them. We can get a common denominator. There's all sorts of things we can do. So let's take a look here and do 2 divided by 7 is about 0.286. So that's about 0.286. And then 3 divided by 9 is 0.3 repeated. Okay, so which means this pie piece here is going to have a greater, the white pieces on that are going to have a greater value. So quantity B. Alright, so this next question, Jake begins driving a chisel plow in the field and continues working for several hours without stopping. Alright, so we have here, how much would he work after 12 hours? Okay, so he started at 80. Now let's take a look here. Increase by 15, increase by 15, increase by 15. So it increased by 15 each time. So how much will it end up being after 12 hours? So if we started with 80, and then he is increasing by 15 every hour. And I want to say X is hours. And so started with 80 and increased by 15 for every hour. And we're looking at after 12 hours. So do 80 plus 15 times 12, 260. So look at 260 after 12 hours. And then Daryl starts the month with this much in his checking account, buys an iPhone and 2 Kindle books at $7.99 each. And let's see here. The iPhone 4 is not as awesome as promised, and Darrell returns it. His new balance is 920. Alright, so, I'm sorry, excuse me, I meant quantity A, quantity B. is this new balance or a 9 or 20, which is larger? All right, let's go right into the calculator here. So we start at 952.43. Now, obviously, we can subtract the 217.49, but that's going to go back in. But let's just play it out just in general. Minus 7.99, and he bought 2 of those. Then he brought back that iPhone, and so we're at 936.45 versus 920, so quantity A. Population spring fill is currently that. Now the population increased by 2% for the previous year's population. Using this information to find the population after 6 years. So, if you can use a calculator, you can use Excel, use all sorts of different things. Completely up to you. This one, the calculator might be pretty easy. So we started with 41,250 times that by 1.02. So that's going to be after the first year, times by 1.02. That's after the second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year. So we're at about 46,454. So another way to do that is kind of like simple interest. So we started with 41250 times 1.02, and that's going to be risen to the 6th power. So what happens here, this is our starting point, and it's increased by 2% every year, and it's going to be increasing that for 6 years. And so that's where this comes from. So this is kind of like simple interest, kind of almost like a compound, but it's compounded yearly. So in there's 6 compound periods, 6 years. And so let's put that in here and check it out. 1.02 risen to the 6th power. Order operations will tell us to do, or the calculator to do, the exponents first. And we end up with the same answer. There we go. All right. So a student is living on a budget. Oh, wow. Those years in college. Ramen noodles, that's all I can say. Lots of ramen noodles. A student is living on a budget of $1,500 per month. He is spending 25% on his budget on rent, 20% on food, 15% on bills, 30% on fun. Represent this information in a pie chart. I'll be honest with you, you don't really have to do that. But calculate the number of degrees for the slice of pie the student spent on other things. So other things. Well, let's think about it. Calculate the number of degrees for the slice of the pie the student spent on other things. Well, let's take a look at what these percentages actually add up to be, and let's think about it. So we have 20% plus 15% plus 30 is 65%. Did I miss one? I might have missed one. Let's just double check one more time. 25 plus 20 plus 15 plus 30. Yep, I missed one. All right, 25, 20, 15, and 30 is 90%. So 10% is missing. 10% is missing. So let's think about that. So let's clear this out. So we have 10% missing. And now a whole circle is 360 degrees. So we want to know the degree. Let's see here. Let's make sure we got this right. The calculated number of degrees for the slice of pie the student spent on other things. Okay. So we need 10% of 360 degrees to know what that the degrees are. So 10% of 360. So here we go. 10% of the decimal is 0.1 times 360 is 36. And here we go. 36. All right, so that, we got one more question here. There we go. Paul starts the month with this much on his checking account. Oh, this is like similar to the other question. Explain how returning iPod is subtracting a negative number from his balance. Ooh, that's kind of weird. Let's see what this means here. So this one is a little tricky, so we got to look at the wordings. Well, first off, the purchase of an iPod was a debit versus a credit. Well, the first thing is just credits and debits. We know right away that it must be one of the first two, because the purchase it was purchased on a checking account and it was debited from the account. So there's no way it could be the second, the third, or fourth one. So next, the purchase of an iPod was a debit or a negative added to his balance. That's like writing a check. That makes sense. Would it make any sense for a positive number to be added to his balance? If it's a debited out, that doesn't make any sense. So right away, the first one is gone as well. But let's just keep reading. Returning the iPod removes the debit. Okay, that's the same part as this, which is like subtracting a negative number from his balance. This one here says, which is like subtracting a positive number. Well, if you're subtracting a positive number again, then you're taking even more out of the account. So this first one doesn't make sense at all. This one here says it's like subtracting a negative number. Well, think about that. Subtracting a negative number, a double negative makes it positive, putting the money back in the account. So that's how we determine that the answer for this one is this number 2, the second option. So please just make sure that as you're going through to finish up this workshop, to email or text me any questions that you have. I'm here for you. Just let me know how I can be of any assistance. Hope you have a blessed day.